really, really difficult, very grueling briefing schedule right now, which is going to consume me probably until mid-December. However, I'm continuing to do some other work. I'm trying not to shake this, y'all. So I do have 2 federal cases pending in which there are what's called Rule 12 motion to dismiss. They're bringing up issues such as immunity, Rooker-Feldman doctrine, Younger-Harris, domestic relations doctrine. Some of those are fairly easy to overcome, but it still means I have to sit on my bottom in front of my computer for hours and to pump out responses and proofread them and make sure they're properly cited. And it's all while being interrupted during the day. So it's really, really grueling. I know. And a lot of you people, people are like, I want to sue, I want a civil rights case. Nobody will take it. You have no idea how hard it is for an attorney to get through the first 6 months of a civil rights lawsuit. So I've already done one brief on the guardian ad litem who tried to get immunity, and I went back and I did a historical approach to guardian ad litem immunity and why that should no longer be valid. I brought in CAPTA and how the federal government requires the appointment of a guardian ad litem, how they work under the auspices of the judge, and how they hold the child's due process rights in the palm of their hand, and they can strangle those due process rights. So, this is making new law, and that's one of the reasons why you bring civil rights cases, making new law. I have another case that was pending that a Rule 12 dismissal came down on a medical kidnap case. So thank you all for joining, and please share. Thank you. So my medical kidnap case was dismissed, saying that the hospital they might be considered a state actor, but that they had qualified immunity. So this is a big issue because I really took the position that the child abuse expert became an investigator for the state when she took the parents and interrogated them separately, put them in separate rooms, asked them questions, and then turned that information over to investigations, and that they have care teams that are for the purposes of investigations. So there might be a little headway made on state actor, but the qualified immunity would prohibit us from keeping a claim there. So that's going to require an appeal to the Sixth Circuit Court, which is another brief, okay? Plus, I have in state court, I have some briefs, 2 briefs that are due and coming up. So, I've written a lot of briefs in my life. Very, very hard to do, y'all. So if you just don't see my head up all the time, that's probably why. So I am here. As you saw my flurry of posting yesterday, I'm at the National Federation of Republican Assemblies. I am a delegate and a board member on that organization, a very conservative, fairly small political group. And we've had the NRA come and speak to us. I bought myself a Make America Great Again hat. And of course, I have an NRA hat. So I do want to say that for the Family Forward Project, it is basically a nonpartisan group. My personal politics, though, I am not shy about. I am very conservative. I've always been conservative. And of course, I support our president. So, however, the issues that are before us are important issues that cross the lines. So here was Congressman Mark Green, and one of the important things about having contact with your congresspeople, your state reps, is call them, talk to them. So there was a cocktail party last night, and at the cocktail party I met a Georgia state representative and his wife, and I talked to them about child welfare, and I assured him that now that I had his name and had shaken his hand, that I would be calling on him again for child welfare issues in the state of Georgia. So I also, my Congressman Mark Green was here and spoke, and for the past probably 4 years, I just show up. I'm at a lot of places where Mark Green is, including when he announced his run for Congress at a home party in Brentwood. So I, always introduce myself, Connie, Reguli, child welfare reform, and he now knows that that's my marker. So I went up, I talked to him again. I told him that I had emailed his office through the email on his website for scheduling, and no one had responded to me. I went by his office, and I corralled them and had a conversation with them, and that I wanted to make sure I had a contact person in his office. So I posted this last night, but he wrote my name on the palm of his hand, and I think that is a big marker. So He gave me a name for direct contact there. I told him that there was the Family First Support Act, and he said, he thought he had already addressed that, but I will have a contact there to follow up with. Also, we don't really have any Tennessee state legislators here. I did reach out to some state legislators in Tennessee with the Family Integrity Act. You can pull this off of our files. I think we just need to start putting this in the hands of everybody. And if you have not looked at the Family Integrity Act yet, basically what I did is it's 6 pages long. It's huge. Nobody will want to do it, but we need to just keep putting it in their hands, because if you really read it, a lot of it sounds like such common sense, and that they would say, why isn't this the case already? But it's not in every single state. It talks about the obligations of the courts to due process, family rights, the rights of parents, the rights of children, the rights of attorneys involved in the cases. So I think we just need to start putting that in their hands. I did put it in the hands of some state legislators, and then a state senator. He said his plate was full, but you just have to keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. I did get the book. Hold on here. I'm still working on the best way to publish our book. Oops, I left it upstairs. So I did get the book printed up with kind of a coil binding. What's happened is the book is so big, the coil binding is a little burdensome. So I think I'm going to go ahead and try to get the book bound through a internet site that will do basically a binding and put a spine on it and just glue it together like a book. It's kind of big. It's 300 pages. So it's very important, though. It's very awesome. I have to admit, I did not get to read word for word every story before it went in the book, but I now have gone back and I will just pick a story, 2 or 3 stories every day and read. And I think I'm just going to start reading them and do some YouTube lives on those so that you can hear those stories. So that people can tell them. And I want to, again, thank everybody for doing that. It's so awesome that I now have that tool to work with. As to events, so as far as group events, I don't know of any that are scheduled right now. If you have a group in a state that you want to do an event, please let us know. I had just finished Alabama. We did Alabama on October the 5th. I had wanted to try to go to California on October the 4th, and I got overwhelmed with helping the Wynn family. So thank you, Jamie, of course. So I could not go to California. So I understand, sometimes some issues come up about how to do it and what's in the group. Just keep plugging forward, guys. Just keep talking the talk and walking the walk. We all have the same story to tell. And so how we tell it, of course, is important. I don't want people to be taken advantage of or used, because there are enough bad tools, bad things out there to happen to families in the system. I do want to say with Family Forward Project, I have a small group of admins right now that we're watching every day. I want to remind you that the Family Forward Project is a public group, that we love for you to tell your story. However, if you think you will be retaliated against because of your story, please be careful about it. My position is always, if you tell the truth, your truth is what you own. You own your own truth. And if you want to tell your truth, you can. In saying that, I will also say that there have been a couple families that I've been working with that we have not been posting their stories and talking about their stories on an ongoing basis, because I see some really dirty, nasty stuff going on, and they are already trying to use that against us. And so I just want to, I really am protecting them in doing that. But ultimately, it's all going to come out too. I have found, I'm just going to say in that case, that they have tried to recreate the facts to make their own truth work for them. And I have put it in the record and brought it back to their attention that there are things that have been misstated in the record that need to be corrected. So, that's part of it, because a lot of you know that the court record that's created is not real. It's not the truth. So some people ask about, oh yeah, okay, I'm sorry, I'm reading a few comments there. So since hang on. When I do that, of course, I totally lose my train of thought. So just hang in there with me. Anyway, so one of the things, like if you have, like we had somebody post that they wanted people to share their stories, create a platform. If you're going to do that, please reach out to admin or put a post that you want some permissions from admin. We're just really careful about people who say, PM me your personal stories if you're not part of the administrators of the Family Forward Project. I mean, I've already asked people to write it down and send me their story so we can get it in book form, so we can get it circulated. And the only reason is I just don't want people to be taken advantage of. I know that there are a few sources out there that they've charged families money for what I call non-legal advice, doing some odd things that they say supports families, but I'm trying to keep that separate from what we're doing. I do try to give some good advice. I try to watch the questions that are coming up. I try to give some short term. Remember, I am a full-time working attorney. I have a law practice that I have to sustain and I have to work at. There have been a few people who call me during the day. I can't take their phone calls. I'm sorry. I have cases that I have to work on while I am at work. Okay, unfortunately, that's just the way my life is. I also want to share with you that I've been reached out by the state of secondhand, but I'm following up through the state of Kentucky that the governor in the state of Kentucky is ready to implement the Families First Protection Services Act, Prevention Services Act, and so we are, I have a connection to try to work directly with them, and I look forward to that. So I think that ultimately we keep telling our story, we keep doing what we need to do, the ears are getting to the ground, okay? We don't seem to be at the top of the list yet for border walls and immigration and gun control, but and drug addiction, but at some point they're gonna realize that family stability is at the heart of all of that. Sorry. So we just got to keep telling that story, and I still get that narrative from people. Well, if they don't remove a child and that child gets killed in the home, then somebody's in trouble. And I'm like, how often does that happen? You all are crazy. Y'all, I don't know where you got that narrative, but it ain't based on any stats. Okay, here are the stats. 500,000 children in foster care on any given day in the United States of America, and 80% of those are in foster care because of neglect, not because of sex abuse, not because of physical abuse, not because of emotional or psychological abuse, but because of neglect. And our job, our goal is to remedy those situations, help parents, and get families stabilized. And through the Family Forward Project, which is our Facebook group, the Family Forward Foundation, which is the nonprofit. All right, so yeah, I understand, Layla. You're exactly right. We are not at the bottom anymore because our voice is being heard. I will say they know I went to my Senator Marsha Blackburn's breakfast when I was in Washington, D.C. and just walked up. Again, I've been at several of her events. She knows my face. There are some people, some Debbie Downers in our group, and they're like, well, what have they done? When did they stop? When did they get this? I understand, and I hate that it's a slow process. I would open the floodgates in a heartbeat if I could, but we have to push, and trust me, it works. I have posted many times, law follows policy, policy follows culture. You are the culture. Your voice is the culture of America. So you must keep talking the talk and walking the walk. You must call your state legislators. You must call your congressman. Look up your congressman. You can very easily go to Google, find my legislator, and you can put those contacts in your phone. Okay? You can call them after hours and leave a message. You don't even have to talk to a real person. You can call after hours. You can leave a message on their recorder, and they will document and log their phone calls. Okay? And you can say, my name is Connie Reguli. I'm calling from Tennessee. I want Congressman Brown, Congressman Davis to pay attention and to support child welfare reform and to abolish ASFA. We have got to get rid of the adoption bonus money. So that's something that we keep working for. And honestly, I believe that President Trump could, through executive order, abolish the bonus money, the adoption bonus money. If we could get the adoption bonus money abolished, which is a crime against civil rights, it is a violation of civil rights and human rights to be paying for the rehoming of children and giving the government a bonus check. If you just stop and think about what that is, it is a bonus check to the government. All right, now I'm going to address a couple little questions real quick that I saw posted. Somebody posted, can I file something myself with the court if I have an attorney? And they wanted to file a motion to recuse the judge. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. If you have an attorney, you want to educate yourself, but you want to try to work with your attorney. And I say that because the rules of procedure, the rules of evidence are so complicated and so difficult that representing yourself is so difficult. And even just the basic stuff, like when the court starts entering a ruling, and I've been doing this for 25 years, and at the end of all the arguments and evidence, and the judge starts saying things and talking about this and talking about this, I mean, they're not really very good at entering rulings without some type of narrative attached to it, which I wish they would not do. They really just need to say, here are the findings of fact that I found as a result of the evidence that I've heard today, and here's what I'm going to order. I see all the time them just get into some narrative about their life or, whatever, and then they say something and somebody asks something, and then at the end of the day, when it's all closed out, nobody really knows what the judge ordered anyway. And I see this all the time. So, yeah. Thank you, Layla and Jamie, and you both know I appreciate y'all too so much, and bless your hearts. I know you've been through a lot, and I just appreciate you just hanging in there and being warriors where you are. I did do a I'm going to get back to my conversation about your attorney. Educating yourself, though, is very important. You need to be able to put your narrative, put your story down on paper with dates, with players, with evidence, so that your attorney can help understand your case better. I'm just telling you, attorneys' time is limited. Their time is limited. They're not your counselors. They're not your therapists. They are there to know the law and to prepare the case for trial. You need to be the one who helps understand who your witnesses are, what the case is going to be, what questions may need to be asked. There are other things, making sure that you get the proper evidence, the documentation, going through your own documents, getting the DCF records, going through them yourself, marking things yourself. I see things in there all the time, but I'm different than a lot of attorneys because I read those things, okay? A lot of attorneys cannot. So, and these records are horrible, and they go on and on and on. Record everything. Record every meeting, every involvement. Prepare your children. I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm sure somebody's going to dog me or come against me and say, I'm telling parents to tell their children not to talk to the government. But we need to start preparing our children. The day is over when we can trust our government. That's just it. We just can't because of the administrative bureaucracies and how they've already proven themselves that they're not going to appreciate or respect our due process rights, and they're going to do ex parte orders. Well, we're going to have to be prepared and be on the other side of that. So we're going to get a lot of pushback. We're going to get a lot of retaliation, but that's what we have to do. We have to do that. Okay. All right. So that was it. Anyway, that was a question. So preparing something yourself. So if you want to outline it, lay it out, take it to your attorney and say, I really want you to do this. I'm trying to educate myself. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to prepare you. I want this as part of my case file. Okay, I know how hard it is if people, and I've just seen some cases where people fire their attorney in the courtroom and then they have nobody, and then they panic. So it's just not the best position to be in, and I wish I could be everywhere, but I can't. Okay, so educate yourself, prepare yourself. That's one reason why I do these things. All right, now let's see. What other questions? Evidence is a big one about people wanting to know about getting their evidence in before the court. You've got to help put that together. You have to, okay? I tell my clients all the time that you own the facts, I don't. I'm just the attorney. You're the one who owns the facts. You're the one who owns the information. Document it, write it down. And if it's just a conversation between you and another person and you don't have it recorded, good luck with that. Nothing's going to happen of it. My very first civil rights case, I had a really good civil rights case, but it was back in 2007 when nobody was recording, and so I didn't have any recordings of what happened. I got all the way to trial, and it was a he said, she said between the police officer and my clients. So, and I couldn't win because it was just a toss-up then, and you have to be able to prove it by a preponderance of the evidence. All right, so again, thank you all very much. I'm going to close this out. I am still at this conference. I got another meeting that I need to go to. I just wanted to touch base with you, get on live, say hello, say I have not forgotten you. Please continue to watch what's going on. We need to get some other states. I just created a new Family Forward for Nebraska, so if you're in Nebraska, get involved in that group. I did see a new law proposal come out from Nebraska. I don't have it in front of me, but it has to do with the Families First Prevention and Services Act. So you want to make sure that you check into that new Nebraska law. Keep posting your stories. Keep posting news stories. Keep posting laws and changes and events that you see happening in Family Forward Project. That's what they're there for. If you have Twitter pages, share to Twitter. If you have Instagram, share to Instagram. Keep getting the message out there. Thank you, Rosie, so much. Thank you, Wendy. I love you all. And I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I'll touch base with you later. Please share this. I'll also upload it to YouTube because we're getting a lot of people from YouTube who are ultimately finding us on Facebook. Thank you all. You have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.